Welcome everyone. I'm Tracy Fitzpatrick and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are thrilled to welcome you to today's event, Google Cloud Vertex AI Masterclass, Effortlessly Build, Train, and Deploy. Presenting today's topic is Imran Ahmad. Imran is a seasoned technologist and AWS and Google Cloud authorized instructor, specializing in cloud computing, AI, and algorithm design. Known for simplifying complex concepts, he delivers hands-on, impactful training that empowers professionals to build secure, scalable cloud solutions. His writing and teaching bridge theory with real-world application, enhancing skills in cloud architecture, AI, ML, and DevOps. With a multi-cloud approach and a passion for innovation, Imran mentors learners through certifications and practical adoption strategies, making tech education clear, relevant, and career-focused. Please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored to your specific requirements. If you are interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We do have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the Cloud Practice Area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio of courses for the topic being covered today. Our upcoming classes include various trainings on the given courses. You can also access a variety of marketing assets, such as the free training and blogs, by clicking on the available event handout. These offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com. In this masterclass, IT and business leaders will learn practical strategies to build, train, and deploy machine learning models effortlessly using Google Cloud Vertex AI. With the growing demand for AI-driven insights and automation, simplicity and scalability are no longer optional. They are essential. Discover how to leverage Vertex AI's unified platform for streamlined data preparation, auto ML, and custom model training, and seamless deployment, ensuring your ML initiatives are faster, smarter, and ready to scale for future growth. I would like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To begin with, you do have the option to view in full screen by clicking on the full screen button on the right side of the GoToWebinar viewer. Simply hit the escape key to exit the full screen. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. And to get the best out of today's events, we've included the slides, courses we talk about, and marketing assets in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You may refer to them at any time to get a better understanding of today's topic. And we do realize that some of you may have to leave early and want to let you know that as you do leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to take a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience and improve our future sessions for you. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. And now I'd like to pass this over to our trainer to present today's topic. Hey, Imran, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy. Let's start the webinar. This webinar is on an interesting topic, and that is about the use of Google Cloud Vertex AI. Now, Vertex AI is a tool. It's a single window operation that Google has created for us, and the complete machine learning life cycle is managed by this single tool that is Vertex AI. And as a data scientist, as software engineers, as AI professionals, it makes our life so much easier because the complete life cycle of a machine learning project, you don't have to hop around. You can be in this single tool, and the complete life cycle will be managed there. And we'll also look into that in the life cycle. When we talk about AI life cycle, it's about building models. It's about training, retraining, and it's about deploying machine learning solutions. And this is one of those tools where we are talking about large scale problems that can actually make difference. And in order to train, you need to crunch, you need to process huge amount of data. So in order to process that huge amount of data, what do you need? You need architectures that can do parallel processing. You need architectures that are elastic in nature. We'll talk about all of that. You need architectures that can conform to the industry standards, because all of these solutions, when we are working on some critical problems, they need to respect the industry regulations as well. So we talk about the bias and talk about the data protection. We talk about the privacy. We talk about the misclassification and the risk that it brings. So all of this basically needs to, as we go beyond the dev environment and as we start using these models in actual productions. In dev environment, we are experimenting. We are playing with the different candidate solutions, and in many ways that those requirements are not that strict, But as we move to the production, then it means that now we are offering the model as a service. So everything becomes a black box, and it needs to be performant, it needs to be cost effective, it needs to be reliable, and it needs to be solving the problem as defined by in the requirements. Now, let's start and let's see that in this class what we'll be looking at. We'll be starting with an overview of Vertex AI. Now, Vertex AI, as I mentioned, this is the unified machine learning platform. That didn't used to be the case about 6 years ago when I used to teach. So in order to train model, in order to develop models, in order to deploy model in Google Cloud, you have to hop around. You have to go towards 2 or 3 different tools. Now that is not the case. Now what we have is that we have this unified machine learning platform. And when we talk about machine learning, so machine learning architectures essentially have 2 dimensions. And those 2 dimensions are, so we need to think in terms of that what is how we are going to design the data dimension and how we are going to design the compute dimension. Let's think in terms of machine learning when we talk about data dimension. So machine learning is all data driven. A trained model is our discovery, our formulation of the causal relationship, cause and effect relationship between features and label. You want to see that whether it rains tomorrow or not. In order to do that, you have to look into the historic data for last 2-3 years. Based on that, you will, the model will discover that based on the signals today, the features today, that humidity, cloud cover, temperature, wind direction, it will say that in the past, the likelihood of rain increased as the values in those signals they change. So a trained model is all about those discovery and formulation of relations. But in order to get there, trained model itself is a very small file. You can in your iPhone or in your Android phone, there are some trained models there. It can fit in a phone and it can work pretty well. But in order to train the model, so the path to a trained model is quite tough. You have to crunch lots of numbers. You have to process lots of data. And this is where when I said that you want elastic infrastructure. You want basically parallel processing. And this is where, so it's about the storage of data and it's about how you're going to process that data. So it's all about storage and getting the data ready for downstream process where we will be actually training the model. We'll be discovering those causal relationships, those cause and effect relationships that I talked about. This is one part of it. So machine learning architectures, when we talk about ML architectures, so there are two parts of it. First part is the data. We need to think about it, that whether the tool we are using, the platform we are using, it has what we need. And in terms of data, we need ability to store the data, number one. And the second thing is that we need ability to process. Let's talk about process. Once, let's assume that the data is processed, it's ready, and now we are ready to train the model. Now, uh, for training the model is notorious for taking too much time, too many resources. This is where we start needing GPUs or TPUs. We talked about that. And if GPUs and TPUs are not available, then the training time will be many times more. And many time is not 2 times more, not 3 times more, not 4 times more. In deep learning use cases, that can be 100 to 1,000 times more. So yeah, it means that the architecture that you have, it needs to have those accelerators, as we call GPUs and TPUs, and they should be easily available. That's the requirement for model training. We started with looking into the data requirements. So it means that the platform, we'll say that the platform is good if we have it, if it's meeting most of the requirements, all of the requirements. So in that, our requirement is ability to store large amount of data. That is, we implement a data lake. So realization of data lake should be easy. And it's not only about realization of data lake, it's also about the maintenance. It's also about ability to discover what is there. Otherwise, this data for machine learning, we tend to store that in a data lake. And this data lake, we want to keep it clean, just like the actual lakes around us. And if we don't pay attention to those lakes, they can, they can turn into a data swamp, and a smelly swamp. So we need to store the data, and we need support from our tool to be able to store it cleanly. And in Google Cloud, Vertex AI is a part of it. So we have data catalog. So we have the complete solution available in Google Cloud, data catalog. So as you will start using Google Cloud, you will start accumulating data. Initially, it will be all clean, but as you start bringing more and more data, soon you will find yourself in a situation where data discovery becomes more and more difficult. This is where data catalog, it acts as a it works with the data lake to make it more explainable. So data lake essentially is the database of metadata. You know, there's data and then there's metadata. Data is data, but metadata makes it explainable. These are the additional attributes that talks about that what that data actually is, what problem that we are trying to solve, when it was captured, what is the classification of the data. So everything is basically stored together. You know, so it means that in at least for the data, Vertex AI, it meets all the requirements that we have. And the requirements I mentioned, that this is all about making sure that it can store the data. And these models that we have, they are increasingly becoming data centric. So the success of the model would be about or the success of the complete solution would be if we are able to cleanly store the data and use it. Let's look into Vertex AI and see that what solutions it has for the data dimension. So if you want to use this Vertex AI, so as always, first thing that we do is that we always go to, usually we always go to Google Console. And once you are in Google Console, then what you can do here is that you can, okay, you can click here, you can ask for Vertex AI. Now, Vertex AI, so if you have not used before, so it will come up with a dashboard. Now, dashboard are essentially the suggestions that which tools you can use, and the suggestions that what should be as a beginner, what should be your course of action. And let's look into some. So this one is essentially the dashboard that you have, and with dashboards, essentially you also has on left hand side these we call it as assets. So all of these are, for example, you will see that there's a hierarchy there. So, for example, agent builder, this is one of the newest one that we have. Within that, you will see yourself navigating through agent garden. Then if you want to uh, go further down, you will see that so this is all about agents, what you can do. RAG agents, we'll go through that. Notebooks are there. Model development, so both dev and production environment, they are fully managed from here. And as you go through this, you will see that they are you will see that it has everything that you need in order for your model to be developed, tested, deployed, and monitored. And that is why what I say is that it is managing the complete life cycle of a machine learning project. Let's talk about what is a life cycle of a machine learning project. I've repeated this over and over again. So let's zoom out and let's see that from a technical perspective, from a machine learning engineer perspective, what is the life cycle? And for that, so one of the vendor agnostic way of looking at the machine learning life cycle is that if you look into there's something that is called CRISP-DM life cycle. And Vertex AI is the tool that actually manages this crisp TM lifecycle. Let's go to Google and see that what is crisp TM lifecycle. So crisp TM lifecycle, if you Google that, it's a popular way of looking at the life cycle of a machine learning project. Let me grab this diagram from here. And let's go back and let's paste it here. And let's see that what do we mean by this life cycle and how it is able to manage it. So this is the life cycle of a typical machine learning project. We start with business understanding. Now we'll see that how it maps to Vertex AI. Business understanding is non-technical, Vertex AI is not within the scope of it's a technical tool, but business understanding is about what needs to be done functionally and non-functionally. Functional requirements that, okay, we are going to predict that whether this mortgage should be approved or refused. That is basically the functional requirement. Non-functional requirement is about the need for security, needs for how much misclassification can we tolerate, and other things around this as well. So these are basically the functional and non-functional requirements. But once we are done with that, then what we have is that we have the data engineering part of it. This is where this data engineering and data prep, it directly ties with this thing when I talked about the data. So this is where you are understanding the data, you are preparing the data, and at the same time, what you're doing is that you're storing the data at a central repository called data lake. That is right there. This is the data lake, and this central repository. This is what I said, that this data lake is where you will be storing the data. And if you are not careful, or if you do not have the support from the tool, and if there is no data cataloging available, so that data lake will become unmanageable, will become difficult to manage. Now, let's now look into the next part of it. Next part is modeling. So when we talk about modeling, this modeling part is where I said that we need basically support from our tool to be able uh, uh, to provide training resources. And I talked about the GPUs, I talked about the need for TPUs, those accelerators that can make our training many times faster. And many times it's not about we are saying 2 or 3 times. We are talking about a factor of almost in many cases up to 1,000 times. And let's look into that. If you look into the tool that what we have, and what we can how we can use it. So on left hand side, as we as you okay, so let me. So as you go through the assets, as I said, so you will see that you have something that is called workbench. Now you click workbench. So here what you will do is that you can create a new machine here. And this is where it will provide you the computing resources. And this is where, when I talked about the GPU part of it, so this is where you can see that you're able to attach the GPU here, right? Now it will, as I mentioned, this will be the accelerator. You can attach GPU, you can select GPU based on your budget, based on your needs. You can you can get TPUs as well. TPUs are an accelerators that are developed at Google, and especially for inference, they give you a better cost benefit ratio than the GPUs. But the accelerators are available. It depends that what do you want to choose. Now, if you go back here and um, then comes evaluation. You know. Now, what is evaluation and how we can use it? The model that we have trained, potentially it can be used for some critical use case. And critical use case can be, let's think about it. It can be about approval or refusal of a mortgage application. This can be one critical use case. It can be approval or refusal at a university, or it can be for fraud detection. All of these are critical use cases. So before we actually start using it, before a mortgage is rejected of a person that should not be rejected, it's honest and a person with that is able to pay the mortgage. It's a false positive. Implications are bad for the person. Implications are bad for the bank as well. They lost a client and the guy didn't get the mortgage. So evaluation means that we need to, before we actually start using the model here, this will be using the model. Before we go to that step, so we need to evaluate it, that what is the risk factor, how accurate that model would be. So as a data engineer, as a data scientist, evaluation is a critical step before you can bring the model from dev to production, before you make it a service. And usually evaluation does not it does is not according to the standard in the first iteration. It's iterative, and that is why data scientists, they will iterate this path as many times as necessary before we can put the model production, right? So this is so that is why it's an iterative process. In Vertex AI, you get all the support for evaluating the model. So if you go here, if you look into Vertex AI, so you can see that if you go down, so you will get all the support before you can actually, training is here, but once you train the model, in experiments, what it will do is that it will actually do basically track the model as you go. And once your model is trained, it will give you evaluation metrics. That if it's a classifier, if it's a binding classifier, accuracy, recall, F1 score, precision, all those metrics will be there presented to you in a very nice way. So you can make a decision about the hyperparameters, about the model selection, about the algorithm selection. And because it is in one tool, so it saves so much time. So this is about the evaluation. And once the model is trained, then what happens is that it's deployed. Now it's time to offer it as a service. Now, the truth of the matter is that there are not all problems that need the real-time solutions. For a banker or for a bank manager who is using AI to approve or refuse the mortgage applications, there should be a real-time component that can give the decision right away. Or let's say that for border security, a border security agent for a country is using AI to let people in at a border. So that person needs the decision right away. But let's think about other use cases where we do not need the decisions right away. So let's say that you are looking at the applicants for a job. They've applied there. The deadline is basically on Friday. But each day you want to see that whether they are good candidates or not. So in that, or at the end of the week, you want to first collect all the applications, and then you want to run it through the service that you have offered by implementing the AI solution. In that case, you do not need the real-time component. So in that case, we can live with the batch solution where you created this sort of an all the unlabeled data together. Unlabeled means that in this case it will be the resume of the people or the bank applications if the decisions are, we don't need right away, or it can be people who have applied for a job, and then at the top of the hour or at the end of the day or end of the week or end of the month, whatever works for you. So you send that unlabeled data to the our service, and so we create a batch. So when you deploy the model, it can be deployed in one of the two ways. You can deploy that in online mode, or you can deploy that in a batch mode. Now, why would you do that in batch mode? Batch mode is cheaper because in on online mode you have to create, or the system has to create an HTTP endpoints, and so that you can use request and response protocol or to provide your solution as a service. So now what's there is that throughout this process, throughout this machine learning model, there is one of the assets you will find that is right there that will be able to support the needs for one of the phases of a machine learning life cycle. So if that is not the case, then you will have different tools to train the model, different tools to do the data engineering, different tools to test it, different tools to do hyperparameter tuning, or and then you know is trained. You for model registry, you want okay a different database to do that. Then what we have is that once the model is there, you import that, you deploy it, then you need to monitor that. So it's possible, but if there's a streamlined solution that can tackle all the phases of a typical machine learning lifecycle, it makes it more performant, it makes it easier, and the whole experience become much more streamlined. So Vertex AI is for that. So Vertex AI, what it does is that it provides you that single window operation, a single solution that can uh, that can address all the needs that you have for your machine learning project. So now, then let's and when we talk about, we said that now this is not a tool where you will be differentiating between classifying between cats and dogs. These do they are more academic problems. It's your path towards large scale problems. Of course, when we are learning, so we have those relatively simple problems that we first solve. This is where you want real-time use cases that actually tackle some important problems that can make a difference. Now, um, uh, we talked about scalability because if you look into the needs in both data and compute dimension, so needs are huge. So in both, if you look into this one, so both compute and data dimension, it needs scalable architectures. They need elasticity, where when the time comes, the system can expand or shrink based on the need. And this is our expectation from the system. And Vertex AI provides you a fully elastic solution that can help you. It offers scalable options. This is what we are saying here. So we say that it offers those scalable options both in storage and computing, right? That is why it is able to tackle a diverse business needs, a whole spectrum of problems from healthcare, social media, government. There are so many verticals. There are so many verticals that can find their perfect solution in Vertex AI in particular, but Google Cloud in general, because Google Cloud provides you the additional facilities and within which Vertex AI lives. So you need support from the Google Cloud. So you need the BigQuery to implement a data warehouse. You need Google Storage to implement a data lake. You need orchestration. You need managed airflow that is provided by Google Cloud for orchestration. And all of this is because this is within an ecosystem that is GCP. So Vertex AI get benefits from whatever Google Cloud has to offer. Now, it's also talk about the because I talked about the need for a performance solution that is able to process large amount of data, and this innovation is brought by Google Cloud, and everything that Google Cloud can do is it becomes one of an enablers. That's why it enables business. So Google Cloud innovation, it becomes as an enabler for large scale solutions. And now machine learning is not only about dev. Dev is about experimentation, and once we have gone through the development part, it needs to be evaluated. And at some point, if the evaluation is satisfactory, it needs to be put into deployment, right? Now, deployment um, is tricky, especially if you have a global audience. Because deployment, I talked about deployment, they can be online, they can be batch. For batch, it doesn't make a difference. But for many use cases, you need the endpoints. It will be the location of those endpoints. What are endpoints? They are deployed service on a server. Now, the server is something physical in the cloud as well. It's a physical thing. Now, Google Cloud provides you the global deployment options. There are very other tools that can fully do that. And the reason for that is that Google itself is a global service. Google own model is global in nature. All the services that Google provides, because that is by default global. So if your customers are distributed across the country or distributed across the globe, so Google will provide you a solution that is second to none. And applications, they can be deployed just by the click of the button across the globe, and you have gone global from your dev environment, from your local cluster where you are training and testing and monitoring and then or evaluating. And once it is done, then you will be, by the click of a button, when you are ready, it will be deployed, and the solution will be ready. Now, one keyword, one point that comes to mind when we talk about Vertex AI, that is about end-to-end solution. And I emphasize it enough, but I I emphasize that, and I use different words for it. I use single window operation. I used single tool for managing Chris PM lifecycle, but it provides you that end-to-end managed services. And if because I have used cloud before the Vertex AI era, and now I can endorse that it becomes so much more streamlined. to remain within a tool, and everything is provided from that tool. And all you need to do is that find the right asset on your left hand side. If you are doing for an agent builder, for example, you are doing notebooks, you are doing model development, you are doing some experimentation, you are doing medal registry, or eventually you have to create those endpoints. And when I said that when you create those endpoints, there can be, I use two terms, online and batch mode. Online, where you need that real-time component, and batch mode, where you do not need that real-time component. And you can see those names here as well, that endpoints, this will be real-time. That example of that bank manager and approving or refusing the mortgage applications, but needing the solution at that instance of time. It cannot wait till the end of the day or end of the week. Otherwise, it's the tool, the service that you're offering, it's no more useful for that bank manager. And the second one would be the batch mode. Batch mode, where to save cost, we can wait till the end of the day to collect all the applications, and in that case we can take a decision later. We can batch the unlabeled data together and pass it through our solution, right? So this is basically the real time and batch mode. But the point I'm trying to make here is that whatever your needs are, they are all available here. You can see that how easy it is to navigate through this end-to-end managed service. And this is a point that I'm trying to make here, that this is one thing that makes this whole tool so useful. And now let's zoom in into the data requirements. I said that you can process data here, but what exactly is available? So when we create processing solutions for our in data dimension, we call them as data pipelines. We call them as data pipelines. So it provides you with the built-in pipelines. So it means that the generic steps. So if for those of you who have worked with the data processing, there are many steps that from use case to use case, they are common. Let's think about those steps. For example, starting with the simplest one, that data imputation. Finding a solution. Data imputation is finding the solution for the missing values. Always tricky. Then it's about finding the data points that are of low quality, and then aggregating something or creating flags for the patterns that you want to emphasize for the machine learning and other things there as well. So what Google has realized over the time is that data scientists, what they do is that they need, sometimes they are repeating the same thing, they are writing the code over and over again. So they are pipelines, they are template-based solution that you can just use for your applications. And this is what we are saying here, that those built-in pipelines, they are part of Vertex AI. Now, I said that Vertex AI, this single window operation that we have created for machine learning, it benefits from the larger Google Cloud platform. So we are first grade citizen, if I can use that term, for using any tool in Google Cloud. And in Google Cloud is a very capable and very powerful cloud platform. And one of the most popular tool in Google Cloud is BigQuery. Now, BigQuery is where you create a data warehouse. Now it is you create a data warehouse, and it is elastic, it is performant, it provides you with a data warehouse that is quite powerful. Now, if your machine learning model needs to connect to a data warehouse. Now, because you are in Google Cloud, so it means that it is Vertex AI is integrated with BigQuery. And that integration itself, because BigQuery is a very powerful data warehouse. It's so popular and so powerful that there are companies like Boeing, like Uber, like Walmart, like HSBC. I've taught there. I have done training in all of these companies, and Shopify included. So all of these companies, they use Google Cloud Platform, but they use Google Platform for a single reason. They need BigQuery. They need data warehouse solution that is elastic, performant, cheap, and is scalable. And BigQuery is the answer. Of course, they have tried other tools there as well, but this is their data warehouse of choice. So, and it is perhaps the most popular tool in Google Cloud. And when I teach Google Cloud, I'm teaching for so many years. I always say that all paths lead to, it's a center of universe, for a Google Cloud solution, for most of the solutions. It's and The good news is that no surprises here, that Vertex AI, it fully integrates with this powerful tool that is BigQuery. So it means that if your machine learning solutions, if you needs to integrate with a data warehouse, so with a couple of clicks, you can bring the data in BigQuery, and there is a processing pipeline that you will create. Let's see that how it's going to work. So on left hand side, you will see here that it's something that is called data set. So these two that we have, feature store and data sets, this together is where your data repository is. Two things, feature store and data sets. Let's zoom into one of them and let's see that what I'm talking about here. So if I click here at data sets, so you can see here that there is a data set that is imported here. Now, this data set that we have, if you want to import something, let's go here. Let me delete this because it says that there are some errors here. But if you want to import a data set, you can create a new here. And once you have a data set here, it says that the image, tabular, text, and video, what type of data you want. And if you're looking for example, let's say that you're looking for the tabular data, then you can import the data directly from BigQuery. So it means that BigQuery becomes your data source. And it means that your tool that we are talking about, Vertex AI, it becomes fully integrated with data warehouse. We are creating a data set and the data source is BigQuery. And it means that you can use the processing power of BigQuery to process the data before you bring that in Vertex AI and before you start using it, right? Now, BigQuery is one. BigQuery is what we call it as data warehouse. And for some machine learning model, we also need a data lake. And for those people who have worked in this, they know that there is a subtle difference between these two, between data lake and data warehouse. Data warehouse is where you store structured data. Data warehouse is where you have process data that is there, that is ready to be utilized and consumed. Right? And for data storage, we have a data lake, and that data lake is where the data is may not be in the ready form. You may need some sort of processing where you can actually use it. You know? So this is basic, but both of them, both data lake and data warehouse, they are fully integrated with Vertex AI. If this is your Vertex AI, so it means that it can take data, it can consume data from data warehouse, it can consume data from data lake. So data lake is your cloud storage. It means that at least the storage of data problem that is solved. And the processing problem is solved here. When we said that it has those resilient, scalable, built-in pipelines. So it means that when I said here, so the need for data, they are more resolved here. We can have a check mark here. So this is a big check mark. Right? So it means that our need for whatever our needs for data, they are fully resolved. Now, if you look into that, um, it also you can also share the projects. There are ways you can do that, and it provides you. It means that if there are if the AI teams that want to collaborate, they want to work. So Vertex AI, it provides you with a solution that is called AI Hub as well. Now, uh, there is when we develop these solutions, they are different, a different level of sophistication. Our solution can be simplistic in nature, or it can be more enhanced and more complex. So we use a term that is called service excellence. We call it as service excellence. Let me write it here. So now what is service excellence? Okay, service excellence is that whatever we are doing, whatever we are designing, whatever we are creating the architecture of, we need to look into long term. We need to look into reusable solution. We want to use automation. When we are bringing the data from data lake and data warehouse, right here, as I mentioned, that you from data warehouse and data lake, you can bring the data in. We're looking for the solutions that we can reuse. So we are striving for service excellence. We are paying special attention. It's not that quick and dirty solutions. We are looking for something that we can reuse, something we can parameterize. We are using parameterization. We are looking for template-based development. We are looking for the reusability of the solutions. We are looking for solutions that can actually make a difference. So all of these are leads towards service excellence. And when we talk about Vertex AI, so automating the tasks, they are needed.
What task can be automated? It may be moving the data from a data lake to a data set in Vertex AI at the end of the day. It can be training the model each week. It can be about monitoring and generating the reports. It can be about looking at the logs and looking at any alerts that come from that. So all of that needs to be automated. They should not be manual. If they are manual, we do not have the sophisticated architecture. It will work. Functional requirements will be met, but we are always we are always striving for this service excellence. And uh, this this also provides us with the collaborative support. So it means that whenever there, so now machine learning teams, machine learning projects, they are done in groups, they are done in teams. This is where we need the collective intelligence of the AI community to get things done, especially for the complex problems, to solve. And if we don't have collaboration support, then it becomes a manual process, and in many cases, it becomes a bottleneck where we have a solution has limited use. So, and it leads us towards the accelerated production as well, because everything from in the case PM lifecycle, if we have enablers. So this is all we call it as enablers, because they are enablers. Because yes, you can live without them. You can look at other solutions there as well. You can create a hodgepodge of different tools to create a solution. But these are all enablers because it helps you focus on the problem that you are trying to solve, and you are less distracted by selecting the tools and making everything work together. So there was a study in last year that in some cases, so data engineers, they will be spending as much as 30% of their time, 30% of their time in where in maintaining these models. So if you spend that much time for maintaining these models, then this is not a done deal. So you have to you have to see that how you can make it, you can reduce it and you can make it better. Now, if you look into, so this have collaborative sort, and I talked about this its ability to offer you with GPUs and TPUs, and on need basis. So you are solving a problem where your needs are much simplistic. You can downgrade your GPU. So for the alternative is that for physical machines, you buy. So these GPUs are expensive. They are very expensive. These days, if you are their use is very expensive, and it makes your machine learning training, the whole thing quite expensive. Now, if you look into this accelerated platform, uh, based on your need. So first of all, they're expensive, they are difficult to maintain. And a fun thing is that I'm right now giving this webinar from my lab. And in this lab, I have a couple of GPUs. I use it for experimentation. And as I turn those machines on, it is very loud. First of all, it's very loud. The second thing is that the machine becomes very hot. I need to have make sure that although I have used everything that and it's very expensive as well. And yes, in some cases you need to have those localized GPUs, but for if you can, if life will be much easier if we can. If you need that GPU for 2 hours, you just pay for those 2 hours. Don't pay for keeping the GPU there for a month or a year or 10 years if you don't need that. And so I think it's time for a break. Let's take a short break and then we will come back. Okay, enjoy your break.
Sure, we are now going to take a 5-minute break, but before we do that, we are going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue from where we left off.
When we talk about the processing capability, so the processing capabilities, they're elastic in nature in Vertex AI. They're elastic. The data cleaning, data transformation tools that we have, they are second to none. This is where those processing pipelines, they become useful. And it also means that if you use these pipelines, they are managed. Managed pipeline under the hood, they are because these pipelines, what we have is that uh, we need elasticity. We need to make sure that they're reliable. We need to make sure that they have self-healing capabilities. Self-healing is a term that we use if there is a failure, hardware failure. So it can recover from there, or it can find a solution that the whole workflow does not fail, right? So, and that whole process under the hood, the best way of doing that is by having a managed Kubernetes cluster. Yes, you can maintain your old Kubernetes cluster, but life will be much better that if under the hood, the cluster is created for you, it provisions the pods and everything comes live, your work is done and it's taken care of. This is where the concept of these managed pipelines come into play. You don't need to care that how that is done. Something under the hood manage the whole thing for you, and that creates these managed pipelines that automate it, that create those automated data workflows for you. Now, data scientists, it's for data engineers, this for data scientists, and it's for data analysts. All of them have different needs. We call data scientist as someone that owns the complete CRISP DM life cycle. So it is basically at all phases of this CRISP DM life cycle, starting from business till deployment. It has the ownership of the project. It is all over. It needs to be there. So data engineer, for that, data engineers can, for example, get Vertex AI experiments. And AutoML is basically if when you are creating those baseline models that can set the expectations, is a push button solution where you can just push the button and the model will be ready for you. So this is a part of Vertex AI. So you give it a problem and it will create a solution for you based on your need. That is called AutoML, machine learning solutions that are automatically created for you. And because it's data scientists can get AutoML to create the baseline model. It can use these experiments for looking at the current how the models are converging, and it can use the Vertex AI for having those GPUs and CPUs and the code running on them. So this is basically what data scientists can do. ML engineer. Now, ML engineer is usually more into getting data ready, and for that, it has the ownership that ML engineer of the CI/CD pipelines, and all of this is basically now these pipelines, endpoints, model monitoring, reliability. These are all provided by Vertex AI. And then we talk about the data analyst. Now, when we talk about data analyst, now data analyst remains at a higher level, and data analyst sometimes it's a bridge between the technical requirements and the solutions that we have. So this is now let's look into that and let's see that how we can do that now. Um, Now, if you look into here, One thing that is missing from here is that if you think about that, that is about how we are going to, once everything is there, once the model is trained, how we are going to version and how we are going to maintain the models. Trained models need their database of their own. Because what happens is that these models, once they are trained, they so sometimes data engineers, ML engineers, they cannot make a decision that this model is performing better or this model is performing model. They're very close. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. Number one. The second thing is that each model that we have, sometimes what happens is that they have the life cycle of their own. So you start with something and iteratively you improve that. And for that, you need a database of the trained models. And the database of trained model is called model registry. And model registry is one asset, one part of Vertex AI. If you go back here, you will find it here that in everything that you are doing here, so when you're going to use the model, it will appear at the registry that is right there. So you need to enable the model, and once you have there, then deploy and use. So there will be model registries right there. Now this model registry, once the model is there, it will be now this model registry is the database of trained model. In fact, theoretically, you can train a model somewhere else on your machines, and or you have a well-reputed open source model. You should be able to import the model here. So you can natively train a model in Google Cloud, or if the pre-trained model is already there, you should be able to import that in Vertex AI. And in this case, what you can do is that this is the database of trained model. Trained models, either trained within Vertex AI or trained externally. In both cases, you have this model registry that should be able to uh, help you getting there. Now, the model registry is there. Now let's look into now this machine learning is all about finding, discovering, formulating the cause and effect relationship between features and label. The causal relationship between features and label. You cannot do much about you cannot do much if you do not have the label data. And now labeling the data, for if you're working on generic use case, you will have label data. But for specialized use case, if you have just started new, then you won't have the label data. Now, in that case, what we have is that if the label data is not there, the platform allows you to provide high quality data set for label data. And it will include the feature engineering tools, and all of them come together to provide you again that enabling environment that can help you solve the problem. Yeah. Now let's look into the feature management. Now Vertex AI provides with the quite innovative solution that is called a feature store. Let me show you where it is and how it looks like and what it can do. So when we looked into the data sets, I said that they're data sets and then their feature store. That is right here. A feature store is a new idea, comparatively new idea. New. In data sets, you store the data as tables. In feature store, we store a feature individually. What can be a feature? Feature can be, for example, it can be, for example, age. It can be the credit score. It can be the citizenship status for a government. So all of these are features. So they are stored independent of each other. They are stored and maintained independent of each other. And now it means that you can reuse that in different use cases. Now, this feature store it allows team to reuse these features. So you can create these. Now this is a tool. This is, I mentioned that this is something new, comparatively new that is there, and but it's a powerful feature. It allows teams to reduce deduplication and increase collaboration as well. And now we already talked about the real-time and batch access, so I will not repeat it here. Now, if now this online and offline store, batch and real time, they also apply to the feature store. The features that we have in the feature store, they can be available on online basis. In that case, they will be slightly more costly, or they can be provided in the offline mode. Both modes are available. Now, when we talk about the data management, so there are some best practices that are there. Let's talk about those best practices that we have. Now, if you look into those best practices, so first thing that comes to mind is that data should be versioned. As you version the data, it is easier and easier to manage the complete life cycle. It means that if something, it helps you create the lineage of the data as well. The second thing is that whenever there's a choice, use cloud storage for data warehouse, for data lake, and BigQuery for data warehouse. So use those solutions wherever possible, and wherever possible, use automated pre-processing pipelines, because they will help you with data scalability, and they will also help you with the consistent data prep. Now, this Vertex AI, starting from about now 18 months ago, it has launched this Gen AI solutions. And now let's look into these solutions, what they are and what we can do with that. So if you go to Vertex AI, due to the importance of Gen AI, if you will see that in two different ways. One thing is that you will see that there is a model garden. Now, model garden is similar to Hugging Face, if you have used that. So you will see that similar to Hugging Face, you will find so many models that you can just bring that in and just use them. You will see that you have foundational models. So you have models from from Anthropic, Meta, or you can just bring in from Hugging Face. Llama is there as well. All those models are here. And you will find that that now there is a model from different. You can do that, so you can just bring the models here. Or if you want to just look into Vertex AI Studio, here what you can do is that you can write a prompt, and if you say that, okay, write me a prompt or help you write a prompt, so you can do both, so you can create a prompt, or you can so you can say that so help me create a presentation on the um, data set stored in, or let's say on the AutoML in Vertex AI. If I do that, what it will do is that it will create the whole thing for you. You will see that the model that is there, and now you can say that, okay, I can do that in the chat as well. What's the big deal here? The big deal here is there's a big deal. Let me talk about this. What is the big deal? So you will see here that on right hand side, you will have hyper parameters. You can, if you want, you can ground this. What does grounding means? Grounding means that it needs to check this with the Google search. So let's talk about this, and let's say that let's talk about a different topic. Can you compare the performance of iPhone 16 Pro with iPhone 15? Let's say it's 17 has just been launched, Now it means that it needs to it needs to ground itself. Grounding is a concept. It means that whatever knowledge is there, if it comes closer to the reality, it finds a way to find the facts instead of making assumptions. Or if the fact is according to me, I am using this tool, so the fact should be according to me. If I'm working in a company, so whatever documents are there, don't make assumptions about that. The regulation should be as applicable to my documents, my company, So you can do it by Google search, or you can do it by uploading the documents. All of them are within the scope of grounding, So let's now look into, can you compare the performance of iPhone 17 and with iPhone Pro? Make assumptions. Give me detailed comparison. Now for that, it needs to go to Google search because it will not be part of the training. And because I have turned the grounding on, so it now what it says is that it will, because iPhone Pro is not available, right? So it means that or it's not widely available. So it means that it will take time. It will take months before it can, before those benchmarks will be established and published. As the same goes for any phone. Yes, the news will start coming in. Initial results will may be available soon. But here we want basically that analysis. So what we'll do here is that based on the specs, or based on some people who have those numbers, it needs to bring that in, and it means that it's not part of the training set. It needs to ground the information, right? Or you can provide your own grounding data. This is not possible. This is what I said, that if you have your own data with you, so you can just upload the data and that will be grounded and provided to it, right? So this is what we can do. Now, all of these are available within Google Cloud, and the tool that is there that hosts this everything, there's, as I mentioned, that is Vertex AI. It has both your classical predictive AI and the latest Gen AI. In Gen AI, you can see you can bring the model in, Hugging Face-like functionality. It becomes a platform to host the model, or it becomes a platform to train the model. All of this is where you can use for different use cases. So we have asked a question where it needs to do some research. We'll come back to it, and let's look into. So it is ready for this Gen AI data. So again, in this Gen AI, there are two dimensions of it, two aspects of it. The pre-trained models, they are part of the model gardens, and now this Gen AI is the solution where what you're doing is that you are developing your own solution. And if you look into AutoML, I talked about the AutoML, and I also asked our Gen AI to give us a solution of AutoML as well. And what it means is that, okay, so yeah, so it has, okay, so a significant, okay. Now, if you look into this AutoML, AutoML is right here. Now, AutoML, it gives you it gave you all the details about it. But what AutoML actually is, if you go back here, AutoML is a push button solution, and it allows you to create a baseline model. Now, custom training is where you are training your own model, but AutoML, it allows you to train a model there's the push button, and it won't be a perfect model, but especially for very specific use case. If you have very specific requirements, then you will see that your model won't be perfect. But in other use cases, for example, you are walking through a forest and you look at a flower, you want to classify that and you want to use it. Now, this is a pretty generic use case. AutoML will work pretty well. But if let's say that you are working for a bank and you want to see that whether this mortgage should be accepted or rejected, but the requirements, the needs, and the wants of that model, they are very specific, and you're also within a regulatory framework. And in that case, AutoML won't work, but it will still give you a baseline. In that case, you will be using your custom training needs to be there. AutoML is either for those baselining, rapid baselining, or for working in areas where your needs are quite generic. Now, I talked about model registry, and I also said that model registry is about basically the centralized model management. We can do that. Allows you to version. It allows you to track, and it also allows you to deploy all of this. The life cycle. This is controlled through model registry. Now, if you can import the models as well, I mentioned that you can import the models that are trained somewhere else. In that case, when you are using Model Garden, in a way, you are importing the models that were trained somewhere else, and you are just using them. Now, when you want custom training, so I said that it can be AutoML, it can be custom training. So for that, you will need basically the scalable infrastructure, and that scalable infrastructure, they are provided through notebooks. This is provided through the compute engine that is processing engine that is part of this Vertex AI. So it provides you with flexible framework that can be used for model training. And in this life cycle, you will need that for not only for managing the infrastructure, it will also be used for experimentation. When you're doing those experimentations, you will see that you need that infrastructure so that you can experiment. Otherwise, what you will do is that if it takes too long to train a model, so you will just train one model and you will say, okay, this is all like I have time for, and you won't be able to experiment too much. But this is where what it allows you to do is that it allows you to experiment with with the solution that you have. For testing, it gives you A/B testing. So you have two solutions. You compare and see that whether which one is better. It allows you versioning and rollback if things don't go the way that you want it to go. So you can use that as well. And now you can. It can also generate automated pipelines. All of these are within the scope of Vertex AI. Now, for those of you who have already worked in this area, you know that there are certain things that are common across the work that you do in AutoML, the problems that comes in most of the use cases, and one of them is data drift. And now data drift is when you train a model, you make some assumptions about it, right? So for example, if you are again going back to the banking application, banking example, so a manager in banking is using that, and that person is essentially the manager is using the existing regulations to approve and refuse the model, and the model is trained based on the regulations that are there. But what if the regulations change? The bank changes the threshold for approving the mortgage. Now that needs to be reflected so it means that in the trained model, but our model is capturing the causal relationship between features and labels of the regulation that is now obsolete. It needs to be retrained. Data drift basically is, we talk about the changes in data patterns that needs to be, it means our model needs to be retrained. And it can lead to, if you want, you can enable automated retraining alerts. And these automated retraining alerts, it makes, again, we talk about the term service excellence. This is one of the ways that we can enable service excellence in managing the models. We need service excellence in data dimension. When we are storing the data, we need service excellence. When we are processing data, we should strive for service excellence when we are training the model. And this is the service excellence where if we can make the whole process automated. So it means that we are going beyond the basics. We are looking at long term. We are looking at the success beyond the basics. And now this is fully supported and provided by Vertex AI. I already talked about the online prediction and batch predictions, but let's talk about the use cases. The use cases are that if you are real-time on-demand fraud, when you swipe your credit card, it needs to determine that whether it's a fraudulent transaction and not, or the batch prediction. It means that it's the offline. In this case, for example, the daily sales forecasting and customer segmentation. It's not, we can save some money here. And in that case, the batch prediction works pretty fine. And online prediction, in that case, is an over-designed and expensive solution when it is not needed. So the persistent, scalable HTTP point with the latency of milliseconds, they are there if you need them. So this architecture is there, but first you need to analyze that do you need it? If you need it, then go for it. And if you don't need it, then of course, don't go for it. It will be an expensive, unnecessary solution that may not be needed. Now, I said that drift and skew, data can drift and skew. In that case, we need those monitoring solutions where we monitor. We don't only need to monitor only. We need to give some corrective actions. If things go wrong, then what needs to be done that can fix those errors. So in that case, it's about drift and skew. So we monitor the drift, and then what we do is that what we can do here is that we can see that how the corrective action can be done. So either the model can be retrained, or what we can do is that we can change the requirements, or model can be partially retrained. All of this decision needs to be done. So when I said that service excellence is one of the goals at different phases of machine life cycle, and orchestration is the word that goes with service excellence. So it means that Vertex AI, it fully supports orchestration. So it means that in execution, in testing, in training, especially for deep learning solutions, you can use frameworks like TFX, and it will bring this orchestration in our life cycle, so that again we conforms to the principles of service excellence. Now, MLOps is a term that is is inspired by the DevOps, and MLOps is where because machine learning essentially it's dev and then it's operationalizing everything once everything is evaluated. And MLOps is Vertex by design, because it's not a tool for dev, it's not a tool for ops, it's a tool for both. So by its nature, by its design, it is in a position to remove the friction that is sometimes between the dev and ops worlds. They're unable to understand each other needs, and so now and it is able to create these CI/CD pipelines. So these CI/CD pipelines, it can able to do that. And then the automated testing, it all of them are enablers for applying the ML ops, and it is able to manage the life cycle end to end. It does not manage a part of the life cycle; it fully manages the life cycle. So it creates scalable ML deployment, and the business impact is that the machine learning solutions, they are able to achieve measurable impact. So you can quantify because it is built in, it is inherent that the solution it creates, you are able to quantify that as well, how good they are. And now they are real-time studies, So what we do here is that so they are available in Google Cloud documentation. So you choose your vertical. For example, you're working for healthcare, or you're working for financials, or you're working for government, or you are working on fraud detection, whatever your vertical is, Based on that, there are case studies that how the use of Google Cloud has demonstrated the improvement. Those numbers can be an input when you are making a decision that whether to use Vertex AI or not. And if you do that, then what area you should be zoom in, based on your verticals and based on your needs, and what can be a good solution for your use cases. Now, retail demand forecasting. Now, this is one of the solutions, one of the problems that is there, that let's say that there is a quite popular scenario, that quite typical scenario, that there's a retailer struggling with how to do their stock levels, and if supply chain management or how to supply chain management, or how the stocks, if they order too much, then of course it's overstocking, or if they are not, then no, this is a situation that almost all retailer in one way or the other they face that. Now Vertex AI, what it can do is that it can use an initial model using well-established ARIMA. ARIMA is a model that is based on time series, so it can use that, and it can use Vertex AI pipelines that can automate. So first of all, we need time series forecasting. So now this forecasting model is able to predict that based on historic patterns, so what should be the state of the stocks, and based on that it can the state should be this one, the demand is this one, and the current state is this. For the current state, it can pulls the new data sales, retrain the models, and evaluate the performance. And now it is able to generate a 30-day forecast. So out of the box, it is useful. It is able to, if it can, improve the sales. Otherwise, the retailer do not want to overstock, does not want to understock. Perhaps there are 4,000 different items. It's very difficult to to decide that when to order and when to not order. So you will see that now we are using intelligence here. Now, this is a business impact. This is a case study, and you will find that in the Google documentation that there's a real case study that these numbers, they're quite significant. So if there is more stock than necessary, there is an inventory cost. If there is less stock, it's a missed opportunity. Someone wants those shoes, and the number 11 was missing, and that person just moved on to a different shop. So it's a missed opportunity. So you will see that the results are. You can look into that and see that the benefits obtained from there, they have quantifiable gains in terms of satisfaction, user satisfaction. So the user, there is a financial dimension, then user satisfaction becomes that there's a potential that becomes a repeat customer. So these are all the benefits, and so the benefits of Vertex AI. First of all, it's a single window operation. It's a unified platform. Has an advantage of its own. It streamlines everything. Then it's about accelerated innovation. It's the enabler. It allows you to dream because you can experiment. You can now tackle more complex problems. And because you are now it's a feedback loop. It almost creates a feedback loop. You solve some interesting problems. There is a benefit that comes out of it, and now you work on more. And it is about the end-to-end life cycle. And that's why it's a tool not only for dev, not only for ops, but it manages the complete life cycle. And the best principles of ML ops, they are respected, they are implemented, and you can use them right here. So this is the tool for ML ops. It manages the complete life cycle, not a part of it. So that's the presentation. And any questions about it?
Thank you, Imran. That was incredibly insightful. Now, I know everyone's looking forward to the Q&A session, so go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel. And while you do that, I'd like to give the presentation rights over to Ifla, our product marketing person, who's going to introduce you to some of our fantastic promotions and webinar-related courses.
Thank you, Tracy. Insightful session. I believe everyone must have learned something new today or would have been able to brush up their skills around Google Cloud technology.
So firstly, I'm excited to announce that Netcom Learning is now an authorized training partner for Google Cloud, making us your go-to destination for cloud skilling. With this milestone, we are proud to offer comprehensive training across the three leading cloud technologies globally: Microsoft Azure, AWS Cloud, and now Google Cloud. So we, Netcom Learning, is your one-stop shop for cloud skilling. I would also quickly like to take you through some of our hand picked resources, which we think will immensely help in accelerating your Google Cloud skilling journey. Well, this document here that I'm presenting has been shared with you all in the handout section of GoToWebinar panel. You can download this document and access all the resources and browse all the offerings we have curated for you. So first up is the list of our recommended courses, which we feel will best suit your learning journey after attending our masterclass. So all these courses here are hyperlinked. Feel free to go through them post-event and check out the course descriptions and prerequisites and the value it can add to you and your team skill sets. Additionally, we have curated a blend of resources, including our upcoming and on-demand events, as well as some informative and educational blogs. So you can make the most of these resources to gain extensive knowledge on the Google Cloud topics they cover. Also here, I would like to inform you that today's masterclass session is being recorded. So in case you want to refer back to any of the topics that were covered by the trainer today, we'll be sharing the recording link with you through emails, and also you can access the link here on the handout. so that you can revisit the session and learn at your own pace. Now, apart from our virtual sessions, you can also catch all the relevant updates related to IT and business training on our social media handles. So please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the latest updates. Our official pages and channels are linked here on the icons. Finally, if you have any suggestions regarding the topics you would like us to cover in our upcoming webinars and masterclasses, please don't hesitate to send us a direct message or leave a comment on our social media posts, or you can just simply email us at google@netcomlearning.com. We would definitely try to come up with the sessions on your suggested topics. Thank you once again for joining us today. You guys have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks so much for guiding us through that information, Ifla. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session. The first question is, what are some signals that we should move from auto ML to fully custom training on Vertex AI?
Yeah, so I briefly discussed that, but I'll give you an example as well that if you're walking through a forest and you find a flower and you want to classify that. Now, this is regardless of you are in healthcare or in government or, so flower classification of flower remains unchanged. These are the generic use cases. But if you are working on, let's say that very customized, you are a medical professional and you are working to diagnose cancer and you want to explore machine learning for that, and for that now, this is not a use case for AutoML. It can create something. It's a baseline model, but don't use it for. It can be part of the solution, but it will not be the solution. So for generic use cases, AutoML will work well, and for customized, specialized use cases, custom models are necessary.
Second question, how does Vertex AI differentiate between model drift caused by data distribution changes versus performance degradation due to poor labeling?
Yeah, uh, so we call it as ground truth. Labeling is called the ground truth, right? So now, whatever is in the label data, that is called the ground truth. So Vertex AI uh, does not have the ability to correct those labels. Whatever is given as an input is the ground truth for Vertex AI. So this is where data labeling process needs to be improved. And Vertex AI gives you a solution that you can use that to label the data. It can also flag that as well but it cannot actually correct that. You have to improve your data labeling process, or if there's a problem with data labeling, then even if you retrain the model, you want, because you are away from the ground reality. So you have to improve your data labeling process, and you have to improve that. So Vertex can flag that, but you have to basically look into that how you are fetching the data.
Next question. How does the Vertex AI feature store handle real-time features serving without causing consistency issues with offline training data?
Yeah, so it has the scalability. So at the back end, what it has is that it's a managed solution, so you don't have to worry about this. Online, so it's not that you have to provision a Jupyter notebook and you have to see that whether it can accommodate that. It's fully managed solution. So real-time data, it is just like BigQuery. It is able to handle that. It will be able to, if there's a need, if there's more processing need at the back end, it will provision more resources. So it's a managed solution. You don't have to worry about it.
Question 4 again. 3, 2. Next question in the queue is, when scaling ML ops pipelines with Vertex AI, how do you balance flexibility for data scientists with governance for compliance teams?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the thing is that if first of all, you need to find that under what compliance level you are in. So what is applicable? So when you are moving from the dev to production through the pipelines, you want to make sure that the data is fully protected. One is about the privacy. So data should be protected at rest. It should be protected while it's being processed. So Vertex AI, it does not add any overheads. So it is for a data scientist working on this. It's transparent to that person, as different from a tool that you are using a different tool for dev, a different tool for production, a different tool to transfer the tool from dev to production. In that case, there will be impact. You have to think it through that whether there is any single point of failure or vulnerabilities that are exposed. But in Vertex AI, it's the same tool. It's a single window operation. So you should not have any additional concern for that.
And the final question is, how does generative AI Studio on Vertex AI support grounding responses with enterprise data to reduce hallucinations?
Yeah, so let me show you right away because it's already open in front of me. On left-hand side, you will see that there is generative AI. All you need to do is that you open the ground your data on here. So if I create a new chat here, now on right-hand side, you can enable this, ground the data. In that case, what you have to do is that you can upload your own data here, own regulations, own policies. Now, whatever solutions are being created, they will be actually grounded based on the information that you fed through it, right? So this is something that it's a new feature, very powerful functionality, and that changes everything, right? So this is if you are working on, for example, there are acronyms that you use in your company. You don't expect models like Gemini to know that because they are your own acronyms. So you ground your Gen AI through the documents uploaded there, and all of a sudden, all the information will come here, including your custom acronyms.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave this session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. We want to thank all of you for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.